Okay, folks, this looks very similar to what you did last class, but we're going to be investigating something a little bit different today. Last class, you looked at parallel lines, and today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different than that. So, before we get going, what we're going to start off doing once again is graphing these points, then create the lines for us. So I'm going to go ahead and graph these points. Our first one here is 0, 2. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit, otherwise I won't be able to see what I'm working on. Let's go to this one right here. So if we're going to graph our points, we've got to be able to look at what this is actually going to look like. So 0, 2. So I'm going to come here to 0, 0. 0, 2 is right there. And then 2, negative 1 right here. All right. So to go ahead and sketch the line that goes through those 2 points. So sketch the line that goes through those 2 points as accurately as you can. I get to cheat a little bit by using my tool. Okay, so I've got my blue line there. Now let's go ahead and graph the purple line. So the purple line is at negative 3, positive 6, 2, 4, 6. So negative 3, positive 6, and then negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So negative 6, positive 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are a little bit closer to each other. Let's go ahead and graph. Take a minute, graph the line that goes between those 2 points. Okay. And then last but not least, our orange line. So 4, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4, 0. And 6, 5. 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So take a second, if you're not quite with me, to go ahead and graph these lines. Okay, graph those points, and then use those points to try to extend your line. Make sure you're extending the line as far as possible. It's gonna look kind of crazy on your graph, but you want to make sure you have a good visual for what's going on. So the reason why we're doing this is we want to be able to compare the purple, the blue, and the orange line to lines A, B, and C that are already there. Okay, so now that we've got them graphed, let's compare them to each other. And we're going to compare them, but first by finding the equation of each line. So just like we did in our last classes, we now have to find the equation of the blue line, the equation of the purple line, and the equation of the orange line. You should be getting good at this because we keep doing it over and over and over again. So I'm just going to quickly do these here, and you can press pause if you need to catch up. But we need to find our equation. First thing first is slope. So to find the slope, we have negative 1 minus 2 on the top, 2 minus 0 on the bottom. That leaves us with negative 3 divided by 2. Okay, so now we need to find the y-intercept, even though some of you may already know what it is, because it actually is already there. I'm going to show you how to get it once again. Blank equals blank times blank plus b. Plug in our values. So we just found the slope. It's negative 3 halves. Plug in our point. I'm going to go ahead and plug in this point. So 2 goes here, 0 goes here. 0 times negative 3 over 2 is just 0. So 0 plus b equals 2, which means that 2 equals b. So to summarize, our equation, the actual equation of the line is y equals the slope negative 3 over 2x plus our b value positive 2. Okay. Same thing goes for the purple and the orange. So press pause, go ahead and try and find those two equations, get some practice doing this, and then I will show you what it looks like on the other end. All right, so hopefully you've caught up now. We're at 5 minus 6 over negative 6 minus negative 3. We simplify that, leaves you with negative 1 over negative 3, which becomes positive 1/3. All right, get my y-intercept by plugging in. Blank equals blank times blank plus b. If I plug in, I'm left with 1/3 here times the plugging in my numbers here, they're going to give me 6. I'm plugging in this point, 6 and -3. So if I plug those values in, I'm left with 6 equals 1/3 of -3 is simply -1 plus b. So hopefully you can see that your b value is going to equal 7 when you add that 1 over. So kind of ran out of room there, but what is our equation? Our equation ends up being y equals positive 1/3 x plus 7. Okay, so there's our equation for the purple line. And then last but not least, the equation for the orange line. Our slope would end up being 5 minus 0 over 6 minus 4, which is 5 over 2. All right, blank equals blank times blank plus b. So we plug in, my slope is 5 over 2. So we plug that in, 5 over 2. My point that I'm going to choose to plug in is 4, 0. So I plug in a 0, plug in a 4. When I simplify here, the 2 divides into the 4 2 times. So now what I'm left with is 0 equals 5 times 2. That gives me 10. So I have 10 plus b. Subtract the 10 over, so b equals -10. 0 minus 10 will give you -10. Finish this out here. Our equation is y equals 5 over 2, positive 5 over 2x minus 10. So very important that we are able to find those three equations, because if we can't find the equations, then we have no way of comparing them. So equation number 1 right there, equation number 2, that's our purple line, and our orange line is this one right here. Okay, so very important that we're able to do that. Now we need to actually compare them to each other. So if you look right to the side, you're going to see on your notes that it's now asking us to say, hey, which of these lines is perpendicular to line A? So let's go all the way back to the beginning and look at line A. Line A is right here. I'm going to highlight it for us. Which of those lines looks like it's perpendicular? Well, if you don't know what perpendicular means, if you fell asleep in middle school, if you don't know what perpendicular means that two lines intersect each other and they form a right angle. They form a right angle. So you can see that these two lines do intersect and they form a right angle. So the one that looks perpendicular to line A is our orange line. That's our orange line. So the line that is perpendicular to line A is our orange line. Okay, our orange line. So let's now compare those two equations. Line A, the equation A itself, and then the orange line itself. Line A is right here. Line A is -2/5 x plus 1. So y equals -2/5 x plus 1. And the orange line itself is y equals, we found it over here on the first screen. Orange line was 5 over 2 x minus 10. So 5 over 2x minus 10. Okay, let's keep going. Now it's asking which one's perpendicular to line B. So same thing, we come back to line B. Line B is right here. It's going vertically up right there. That's line B. Which one looks like it's perpendicular? Just happens to be the blue one right here. This line is perpendicular. The blue one is perpendicular. So which one's perpendicular? The blue one is perpendicular. I'll write that in blue. Okay. So what's our equation? Well, line B's equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 2. Y equals negative, I believe it's -2/3 x minus 2. And then the blue equation itself, the blue equation was y equals positive, -3 over 2. So I was incorrect actually. The blue equation, this one should have been +3 over 2. And the blue equation is going to be -3 over 2x plus, what was it? Plus 2.